Before we start, a quick reminder. This content is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional therapy. With that clarification, we invite you to join our conversation. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the hidden side of deception. I'm Hannah, and it's wonderful to have you with us for another episode of Deep Dive Conversations. Today, we're tackling one of the most painful and anxiety-inducing questions people ask themselves when they feel something is wrong in their relationship.
And I'm Ryan, and it's a question I've heard countless times in my work. How do I know if I'm being cheated on? It's a question loaded with fear and uncertainty. So, in this episode, we're going to talk about warning signs, not to fuel paranoia, but to provide a roadmap, a series of indicators that, in isolation, might be innocent, but when viewed as a whole, could point to a breach of trust.
It's crucial to make that distinction, Ryan. One single sign is not definitive proof. The key lies in observing behavioral patterns. And often, the first place these patterns emerge is in how we communicate with our partner.
Absolutely, Hannah. A change in communication is one of the earliest and clearest indicators. I'm talking about a drastic drop in emotional intimacy. Suddenly, your partner stops sharing the small details of their day, their worries, their dreams. Conversations become superficial, focused on household logistics or daily to-do lists. But that deep, personal connection you once had is no longer there. It feels like an invisible wall has been built between you.
And this connects directly back to our previous discussion on emotional infidelity, because that intimacy that's been lost in the relationship doesn't just vanish. It's often being transferred to another person. The unfaithful partner, in this case, might be seeking that deep connection elsewhere without necessarily having engaged in any physical contact.
Precisely. You can spot this in subtle ways. A personal anecdote from a friend of mine: his wife started having inside jokes he didn't understand, or using phrases she'd never said before. When he asked where they came from, the answer was always vague. Oh, just something someone at work said. That secrecy around a new source of intimacy is a significant red flag. Communication becomes selective, not inclusive.
You've brought up secrecy, and I think that's a powerful theme. The need to hide something important about another person from your partner is likely an indication that a line has already been crossed. Let's move on to digital or cyber infidelity, which has become so prevalent with technology. What are the most common warning signs here?
In the digital age, the signs are abundant and very specific. One of the most obvious is secrecy with their phone. If your partner suddenly won't let you see their cell phone, takes it with them everywhere, even to the bathroom, or has changed the password and won't share it, that's a very strong indicator. Other signs include deleted messages, using dating apps, and even their social media profiles appearing more active or curated for a new audience. Suddenly, their Instagram account, which was just for family photos, is filled with new selfies or posts that seem designed to impress someone else.
Or when you notice a shift in their phone usage patterns. For instance, they might be up in the middle of the night checking messages or staying up late on their phone, something they didn't do before. It's as if their phone has become an extension of a secret life.
We also can't ignore suspicious social media connections. All of a sudden, your partner has a new friend they're constantly interacting with on posts, with comments that go beyond a simple friendly exchange. What we're seeing here is a pattern of restricted access to you. They're restricting your access to their phone, their time, and their thoughts. At the same time, they're granting more access to someone else.
Let's talk about behavioral changes, not just digital ones, but in their daily routines. What kind of shifts might we observe?
Behavioral changes can be varied, but they often center on routine. Suddenly, your partner starts a new hobby or begins going to the gym every day when they never did before. The pretext is often that they want to take better care of themselves, but the real motive could be different. Also, a change in their interest in sex and physical intimacy. This could be a sudden increase in passion, perhaps as a way to overcompensate for guilt, or a complete drop in interest because their desires are being met elsewhere.
And we can't forget about changes in personal appearance. They might start dressing differently, become more concerned with grooming and buy new clothes. What they once didn't care about is now a priority. A case I heard about in a support group was a woman who noticed her husband, who always wore old t-shirts, suddenly started buying designer shirts and wearing cologne daily. It wasn't just a style change, it was a change motivated by an external person.
Those are the subtle details that a loving eye can't ignore. But sometimes the deceived person clings to denial. Maybe they're just going through a phase, they tell themselves. But intuition is powerful. If you feel like something is wrong, it probably is. Physical infidelity often manifests as changes in schedule, more overtime at work, unexpected business trips, and the lack of a cohesive explanation for their absence.
And underlying all these signs are the deeper motives. It's not just that they wanted to be unfaithful. What's really behind these behaviors?
Infidelity, in most cases, is a symptom, not the root problem. The person might feel emotionally disconnected, unappreciated, or sexually dissatisfied in the relationship. Sometimes infidelity is a way to fill a personal void, to seek external validation for low self-esteem. In the case of emotional infidelity, for example, the motivation is often a need for connection. The person feels lonely and finds a confidant in someone else. With cyber infidelity, it might be the pursuit of excitement, a fantasy that feels safe and anonymous in the virtual space.
In your experience, Ryan, what are the most devastating psychological consequences for the person who has been cheated on?
The consequences are deep and complex. The person can experience significant trauma. It's not just the pain of betrayal, it's the feeling that their reality has been a lie. This can lead to a loss of self-trust, a questioning of their own judgment, and their ability to love and be loved. Self-esteem is severely damaged. Rage, sadness, and anxiety become constant companions, and deep fears of a similar experience happening again can arise. It's a grieving process, and grief is slow and painful.
And for the person who cheats, do you think they always feel guilt?
Not always, but most do. The guilt and shame can be overwhelming. Sometimes the unfaithful person feels trapped between two lives, and the pressure of maintaining that lie becomes unsustainable. In other cases, the person might be in a state of denial, minimizing the seriousness of their actions to protect themselves. But sooner or later, the truth comes out, and the consequences of their actions can impact their mental health and their image in the eyes of others.
What communication strategies can we use to address these warning signs? How do you bring this up with a partner without directly accusing them?
The key is to avoid aggressive confrontation and focus on your feelings, not on accusations. Instead of saying, "I know you're cheating because you deleted messages," it's more effective to say, "I felt distant from you lately, and I'm worried because it feels like you're not sharing things with me like you used to. Is there something going on?" Opening the door to a conversation rather than slamming it shut with an accusation can lead to a more honest and less defensive response. It's a crucial time to talk about your relationship's boundaries and agreements.
And that brings us to the question everyone wants answered. Is it possible to truly rebuild trust after infidelity?
It's a complex question, and the answer is yes, it's possible, but it's far from easy. Rebuilding trust is a long, difficult process that requires the willingness of both partners. The person who was unfaithful must show genuine remorse, be willing to be completely transparent, and take full responsibility for their actions. The deceived person, in turn, must be willing to forgive, which doesn't mean forgetting, but releasing the resentment in order to heal. Often, couples counseling and individual therapy are fundamental tools on this journey. In my experience, some couples manage to rebuild a stronger and more honest relationship than before. Others discover that the damage is simply too deep. The important thing is for both people to have a safe space to heal, regardless of whether they stay together or not.
To close out our conversation today, what's your final thought on the importance of recognizing and addressing these warning signs?
My final thought is that these signs aren't just indicators of potential infidelity, they're also indicators that something in the relationship isn't working. Sometimes infidelity is the final symptom of a disease that was already there. So paying attention to these warning signs gives us an opportunity to address the underlying problems before it's too late. It's an invitation to strengthen communication, to be more aware of our own needs and our partners, and to work proactively on the relationship to prevent betrayal. Redefining infidelity and understanding its signs is the first step towards building healthier, more conscious relationships.
I couldn't agree more. It's a wake-up call to take care of ourselves and our partners. Thank you, Ryan, for this valuable and necessary conversation. And to our audience, thank you for joining us on The Hidden Side of Deception. Don't forget to subscribe and leave your comments. Until next time.